Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet?
I love people as I meet them one by one. People are just wonderful as individuals. You see the whole...
My great aspiration, my greatest ambition is to be so good. Now, in that way, I'm tiresome, as I suppose, to live with, because I want to be a fantastic human being.
I am the greatest. We're not disputing that, Cash. It's how does Sonny Liston feel about it? He can't feel but one way, and let's take everything I say and like it. Because February the 25th, I'm going to take back my job. I'm the champ. He's no champ. He's a champ.
When you see men fall, don't laugh. Learn. Learn. Because you're on your way up. And the things that tempt people to fall, you and I are not free from that temptation.
Yo, 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 yo. Happy Friday. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up?
Dom DeMarco. I remember asking you a goddamn thing.
I hope all is well, man. Peace, blessings, glory, praise, and honor. Glad to be here. Good to see you. Shout out to everybody, man, who tapped in with me earlier. It had to be done. I'm sorry. We're not giving out money. There ain't nobody on this side of the internet got time to be funding the lifestyle of someone who already got it. You can take that somewhere else. Shout outs to my writers, poets, content creators. Rob, salute to you, sir. If you here, I appreciate you for tapping in. Robin, Jason. Shout outs to Poet Podcast. I just finished wrapping up a 3 hour show. He invited me on, and it was pretty dope, man. He's an autistic gentleman, but you would never guess by the way that this man carries himself. I'm gonna have him on one of these days. We're definitely gonna lock in. I'm about to do 3 interviews with 3 musicians this weekend. 2 tomorrow, 1 on Monday. Be on the lookout. These are singers. All 3 of them. Very gifted. I'm in a different element. I'm trying to branch out and support people, man. So if you out there, you want to get some spotlight on you, you're trying to connect and network, I'm all about it. Let's do it. Sydney, I got you in the building. I see you in the studio. Bring you up. We got a couple things to talk about here. Y'all see the title. It's a combo. I love combos. You get a meal, you get a couple extra drinks, so on and so forth. I'm cool with that. But let's get into it, man. Sydney, what's up?
Hello. Yeah, we have our home meal. We have the entree. We have the tea. We have the I'm doing pretty good. I had my husband recently bought himself a grill, an outdoor grill. So he's been experimenting. So I've been enjoying new food every day. I mean, every weekend. So that's been nice. My kids also get to watch him, and my son thinks it's fun because of all the noises it makes when you are like sizzling the meat on the, and then the fire, obviously. But I am excited to do the topic, and I forgot to mention on Wednesday. Wednesday was the anniversary of me officially deciding to go fully into poetry. It was basically the end of July after my daughter was born that I was like, I need to do something with myself. Or no, I think it was actually after she turned a year. I just kind of had this realization that I have to start pouring into myself. Otherwise, I was going to like lose my mind. Being a mom of two and having no outlet and no friends really was, I mean, I have friends, but they're all far away and they live their own busy lives. So I don't really have access to social, or I didn't have access to socialization very regularly. So it was a really challenging time period. So I decided, like, I've always loved poetry. And I identified that as kind of like my primary passion. So that date last year in 2024 was when I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna be a poet. I'm gonna be a writer. Everyone told, like, I always said that I was gonna be a scientist because I was like, oh well, you can make a career with a scientist. You'll have a paycheck as a scientist, and then I could just be a writer ponying off of that. Like, I'll just be a writer later in life when I've already built myself up and built up my reputation. But yeah, that day 1 year ago was when I made the realization, like, no, this is what my calling is. Like, this is what I need to be doing. So it's interesting to look back and be like, wow, it's been a year. Like, and look what I've done in a year already. Like, I have a book and a plaque coming with my poem, a poem that I did. And then I have like 3 in the making, getting ready. And then I'm obviously here, and I've been doing this a lot. So it's cool. It's like a goalpost kind of.
It's amazing what a person can do when they decide that they have something to work towards versus you're just like, I don't know what I want to do. I'm just kind of floating around.
Mm-hmm.
But when you actually got something that you're passionate about,
Mm-hmm.
it's different. It creates a different atmosphere, energy. It's very therapeutic too.
Mm-hmm. Not having that outlet it can be paralyzing. Like, I just, my brain was so loud, I couldn't think or prioritize or finish tasks or do anything. I would like look one way and have one idea and look one way and forget the other idea, and then I was on to the next one. And it was a clarifying moment when I finally realized, like, that was what I wanted to do. Because once you pinpoint that, like, once you find your like soul pursuit, it becomes a lot easier to tease everything else away. Be like, oh, those things aren't important. I don't care about those things. I would rather have my writing, my passion, or whatever it is, than I would have these things. Like, these things are now distractions. They no longer, the collections and the other, like, oh, I'm going to pursue these other random things just to give myself a boost. None of those things matter anymore once you find that, like, that thing.
That's a fact. Well, look, you see the title. We got 2 things to jump on. I want to go ahead. I'm gonna save the Alicia Keys situation for the later portion of this. because you brought something to my attention, and I want to put the spotlight on this one. Now, let me tell you, this one is Candace Miller. The other one I have with Candace Owens, kind of talking about the ballerina situation. I'll bring that one after this, but being as how you said there were similarities, I figure I just start with this one, especially since this is 5 minutes. This isn't very lengthy. The Candace Owens one is a little longer than this one, so I figure I just start off with this one and we'll go from there. And for the people who are not really familiar with her husband, or them in general, this will give you a little context, hopefully.
She was a very popular mommy lifestyle blogger. This is a Lifetime movie. No, I agree. And about a year later, we have a little bit of an update. Just to recap, Brandon and Candace Miller were basically Hampton's royalty because she was a very popular mommy lifestyle blogger and he was a Nepo baby in the real estate development world. So everyone was shocked, including Candace, when the news came out that Brandon Miller had locked himself in the garage of his $15 million home in the Hamptons and taken his own life by carbon monoxide poisoning. And he took his life while his wife and children were in the air on their way to the Amalfi Coast because they thought they were going on this all expenses paid trip to go stay in this $8,000 a night hotel. Meanwhile, they don't know that they're $17 million in debt and the father of this family had taken his life. So they land to get this news. And when I originally talked about this story, people were in my comments praising him for not being a family annihilator because this happens in America every day where people have much less debt than $17 million and they do something awful, like not only take their own lives, but the lives of their entire family. But in this case, Candace landed and finds out the news that he took his own life and that they were flat broke. So she had to basically ask a friend if she could borrow their private jet to fly back home to deal with all of this. When I originally talked about this, there were also some questions about whether or not there would be an insurance payout because he took his own life. And usually they don't pay out because of that. But with this insurance, apparently that clause only lasts for 2 years and they had been paying into the insurance for longer than that. So she actually did get an insurance payout of around $15 million. And Candace claims that she had no idea about the debt. And I think that's working in her favor as far as settling some of these debts goes, because she did have an outstanding balance to her old landlord of almost $200,000, which poor people get kicked out for like missing one rent payment. But she somehow was allowed to accrue almost $200,000 in rental debt that she is now trying to settle out of court with other debts. So about a month later in August, Candace is back in New York and picking up the pieces of her life. I mean, her husband left her with about $8,000 in their bank account, which wasn't even enough to pay for one night in that hotel on the Amalfi Coast. So I don't know what exactly the plan was for short term. She went back to New York, started packing her things, selling things off, and moved to Miami. And then in December, they sold off the Hamptons home, and she actually made a little bit of a profit off of that home and sold everything at a loss. I mean, imagine following a lifestyle influencer for years, coveting their life, and then seeing it all fall apart within a matter of months to the point where you can go out to their Hamptons home and buy all of these things you've seen on their Instagram feed for like less than $30. They were selling things for like $20, $6. An entire bedroom set was selling for like $40. And a lot of people were quick to try to blame Candace because she was showing off this lifestyle that obviously her and her husband couldn't keep up with financially. But it's more to do with her husband's dad, because His dad, who was in investments in real estate, passed away and passed on debt to his son that his son was then trying to figure his way out of during 2020 and everything happening during COVID. So they were having troubles from an inherited debt. And then it just kept going because he was trying to keep up with the Bezoses and she was probably trying to keep up with the Kardashians. Like they were trying to keep up with a lifestyle, but apparently she didn't even know. She thought they were set, that they had plenty of money. She didn't know that he was taking out loans on their home and things like that. So the Hamptons home, when it sold, it really sold to cover their debts. And I think she might have made 2-ish million off of it. And we haven't really heard anything about Candace since December, January. But now, 6 months later, we have some action on her Instagram account. She has basically gone dark on all of her channels. But this week, she posted on her Instagram account a picture of a sun setting over the ocean with an inspirational quote. And she changed her Instagram bio. So now, according to Candace's Instagram bio, she is a certified life coach, which I think is interesting because as an Instagram influencer or a lifestyle influencer, she was influencing people to change their life and covet her life. Now she's going to be influencing people and coaching them. But let's really be honest, her lifestyle was not sustainable by any stretch of the imagination. So how will she be coaching these people? What will she be influencing them to do is probably the real question when her whole life was not sustainable or something you can influence people to have, really, you know? So we'll see as this story rolls out, but I'm telling you, this is a Lifetime movie that is probably going to happen in the next few years.
That is some staggering debt. The reality setting in for me that you can, I don't know why it never dawned on me that you could also inherit debt. And I don't know why I didn't think of that. I'm like, oh, that would really suck. I guess that is one downside of having rich parents. Rich parents.
Yeah. I don't think this is funny. I think it's ironic. Monday, I believe it was Monday, we talked about the side effects of working or overworking your entire life.
The rat race.
Right. And to fall full circle into a story where you got people who are glued to their devices, their Lifetime channels, your Oprah channel. Y'all watch these people every day get on and off these private jets. You watch them going to these stores and buy these ugly ass dresses, suits that's just regular suits that I wear on a daily basis. They just got a name attached to them. And it's like, you're so starstruck and amazed. And it's like, I want to be like them. I want this. I'm going to be snooty like them. And I'm going to eat with my pinky finger. And I'm going to be bougie and stuck up. And y'all be trying to imitate these people. And then the whole time, look at what we have here. Don't get it twisted. I'm not kicking nobody while they down. This is just, yeah. You see it for yourself in reality, in real time. It's not like somebody just fabricated a story, or I didn't go out of my way to find dirt on this person. I don't even know who the hell she is, to be honest with you. This is the first time of me learning of her or him. And God rest his soul. It's just, here we are. And
it's the first time I've heard of her, but it's not the first time that I've heard of many, many other people in her situation. The other person that we're going to talk about is also in a similar aligning situation, not in the sense of the financial tragedy that those people were in. We obviously don't know the financial state that the other people were talking about, but they were again in this group of influencers that we have come to. I mean, arguably they're probably one of the largest groups, most visible groups of influencer type people that we have. Like in the past, it was politicians and possibly like, I don't know, public figures that somehow were giving speeches or whatever to motivate people, like principals and teacher professionals, basically. And then once we got to the 1980s, probably it started in the 50s with celebrities being in the spotlight, but I think it really, by the 80s and 90s, is when celebrities really became like mouthpieces for the public as well, as much as they were like talents. People started to care more about their opinions, and they began to be looked at more for like representation. So I remember by the 80s and 90s, celebrities would very often advocate for disasters and for like collections and stuff like that. They would speak out against wars or whatever. Like you'd have like the donate to the children, and you'd always have like those celebrities. I remember Jamie Lynn Spears was always on the hospital ones. But they always had like, they were always mouthpieces for relevant issues. But now it could just be anybody with enough money, anybody with enough like charisma, I guess, who gets enough attention, is able to promote any type of information they want out there. And when you get to that type of lack of boundaries, you're going to eventually have people that are literally building their life for the purpose of being famous. You're going to have people that their only purpose in life is to manufacture whatever is able to give them the spotlight. And I think that's what we're seeing, or I think we're at the point where we're going to now see these people burn out, where we're going to see this crumble in mass, because this type of life is not sustainable. And we're very rapidly seeing people lose faith in the internet and lose interest in participating in the internet atmosphere. We're seeing like the rise in like AI bots and stuff like that. And so people are kind of moving away from that spotlight lifestyle and are seeming to, especially with what's happening, they're wanting to batten down the hatches. We're going to want to pay off our debts. We don't want to spend money like that. We don't want to be living our lives like that. And so people are moving away from that image. And that's going to take away money from these people that are basically using the views to fund their lifestyles. But a lot of these people, I think we're going to see this type of stuff happening, where they're going to come up as, actually, we are broke. Like, we've been living on the edge this whole time. We're showing you that we were rich. We were buying all this stuff, but it was all debt. It was all credit card debt. It was all loans and whatever, and we're not actually secure. It was just you, the viewers, that were funding what we were able to get. And I think, honestly, some of it is going to come out as fraud, too. So I think it's the beginning. You're on mute.
Sensational.
It's been slowly unraveling for years. Slowly but surely. The thing that I love about me is that I can always take a step back and I can watch people gallivant around. I can watch you plaster on a smile and take all of these beautiful wedding pictures, and you can say all of this beautiful and romantic stuff on the internet, and You got your kids all dressed up, you're matching, and you got the moon bounce, you got the horses, and all of the fairy tale crap.
And it's all white.
It's always all white, always. And then I'm just sitting back on my Homer Simpson couch, looking at it, and I see you, and I raise you bullshit. I know damn well that behind that smile, you probably can't stand that person. You probably are doing some of the most nefarious things to maintain the lifestyle that you have. You're stepping on people. You've betrayed people. You probably can't sleep well at some parts of the night. We don't even account for the restlessness.
Also, the physical ailments that stress causes.
Yes, there's a combination of things that are attributed to these people. And that's why I say I could never idolize a person, because they're no different than us. But because they are in the public eye, they want to maintain a certain sense of importance for us, that they'll go the extra mile. Like, think about this. You already have pressure on you to perform, but you're taking on extra pressure because you want us to continuously feel like you're immortal, immune. If we see that you're weak, that's going to be a problem. So you're piling on issues. And I'm glad you brought up generational debts, because that is actually a real thing. And I don't believe that a lot of people understand that if you are connected to somebody and you never had real communication with them about their life prior to you, or maybe it was created during you, either or, if you're not properly planning out your future with the person, this could be very well you. They could be anybody. I don't know what drove this man to take his life. It could have very well been this. Could have been that debt. It could have been that pressure. It could have been a combination of things. But when y'all see the picture, when you seen him and her standing together, did you see any of those problems on their face? Did you see it in how they dress? They look like they were standing on acres of land, just happy as can be. Did you see any struggle? Did you see any indications of misery?
I mean, the fact that they lived in the Hamptons, or at least they had a mansion in the Hamptons, among others.
Yeah, I gotta stop. But you're not. I get it. But you're gonna see more people like him and her pop up on this screen. And all of Damon Dash is going broke. He being sued. My man Jam Master Jay, he didn't do right with his money. He went and resorted to drugs. His friends and family betrayed him.
I mean, let's be real. Even our government is broke.
They are. They're broke, and they're making us pay for the fact that they were irresponsible with the way they handled funds.
Even if we weren't in debt, we would be in debt because they are in debt.
Yeah, we're attached to we're basically attached to them. We inherit their bull. That's why. So I'm really all for, if I had my way, getting the hell out of this country. Okay? Let me just go somewhere where I ain't gotta be held responsible for the recklessness of other grown men and women who wanted to play with their shiny new toys, experiment, do illegal things. The list goes on. Then you're passing it on to us, and you're punishing us for what you did, so that you can maintain your life. I'm cool on that. Now, this one right here is a 8-minute clip. This is Candace Owens. She's going into her summary of the Ballerina farm girl situation. And I'm gonna let this one run. We'll go and take over from there, and then we'll finish off with the Alicia Keys situation, because there's some things that I want to say about that as well. So I'm gonna bring this back up on the screen, and we will get into the next portion. Shout outs to the people in the audience. Thank you for hanging out with us this evening.
Talk about Ballerina Farm. So if you guys don't know who she is essentially this. She was a ballerina. That's why it's called Ballerina Farm. And she left Juilliard, met her husband at Juilliard, and they decided to say goodbye to the city and go live on a farm. Look how cute they are. Look at this photo of them. They're adorable. Like, you can't hate these people. It's just not possible unless you're a leftist, unless you're a Marxist. And you go, I just see happiness. And because I see happiness, I must destroy it. Like, these are the villains of today. And the greatest villains, of course, are women who don't have children, don't have a family, which is why J.D. Vance was right. And I hope that he never apologizes for what he said about, we don't want people that are cat ladies and spinsters running society, because they have a special kind of hatred in them. Like, women evil hits different. You know what I mean? Like, when women decide to go evil, it's like, it's just different. It's different. Like, they plot. That's the difference. Like cat versus dogs. A dog does something wrong. It's like, oh, it's kind of like an accident. I know, but the women, they're like cats, just sit there and they're like, how can I destroy? By the way, I do love my cat who passed away a couple of years ago, but like, I would see her kind of stew, like, I'm upset with you, and I'm going to think about this for 3 days, how to ruin your life. And so we had this sort of old cat lady, but she was actually a young journalist, and her name was Meg Agnew, and she writes for the Times of UK. She's British. And she saw so much happiness on her Instagram feed, and she couldn't stand it. So she reached out like a journalist, and probably was so nice in the emails. I've seen how these hit pieces go. It's why I never allow journalists in my home, because I think it's like a kind of, I'm not even trying to be dramatic, to allow a journalist into your home and you think everything's great and you were nice to them and you introduce them to your children, and then they go out and they just try to destroy your family. You're like, oh, it's an invasion. I'm just going to read a couple lines here. Hannah takes the baby from her husband. She will not leave Neilman's chest for the 4 hours that we're together. Oh my God, the whole time, for 4 hours, Hannah Neilman held her baby. Dun, dun, dun. It gets worse. It gets worse. So she goes on and she talks about how there's other influential trad wives, namely one named Nara Smith, a 22-year-old Mormon model who has 4 million Instagram followers, who talks in a voice so soft, she sounds as though she has been brainwashed by a cult. Dun, dun, dun. And then she writes, many women I know who have and want a life that looks totally different are addicted to watching all of this, though others are served it by an algorithm as if it is grooming us into submission. Yeah, of course, we're being groomed by an algorithm to want marriage and kids. That can be the only reason why people are deciding on this lifestyle of Hannah Neilman's. She then quotes Hannah Neilman as speaking about her life when she was 17 years old as a ballerina dancer. She says, quote, my goal was New York City. I left home at 17 and I was so excited to get there. I just loved that energy and I was going to be a ballerina. I was a good ballerina. She pauses again. But I knew that when I started to have my kids, my life would start to look different. She then goes on in the article to make it seem like, yeah, no, the little ballerina never got to become the lead nutcracker, because she decided to become a mom instead. And I just can't believe that she would do that. No, let me just assign some reality here. Everybody has dreams when they're 17 before they have kids. And then your dreams obviously take a shift and they shape in different ways. And then she writes this, Hannah Nealman, our first few years of marriage were really hard. We sacrificed a lot, she says, but we did have this vision, this dream. And Daniel interrupts. We still do. What kind of sacrifices? I ask her. Well, I gave up dance, which was hard. You give up a piece of yourself. And Daniel gave up his career ambitions. Then the journalist writes, I look out at the vastness and I don't totally agree. Daniel wanted to live in the great Western wild, so they did. He wanted to farm, so they do. He likes date nights once a week, so they go. They have a babysitter on those evenings. He didn't want nannies in the house, so there aren't any. The only space earmarked to be Nealman's own, a small barn she wanted to convert into a ballet studio, ended up becoming the kids' schoolroom. I mean, this just makes me sick. Like, she's never seen a functioning relationship. What she doesn't understand about marriage is two become one. My husband and I promise you, we have the same brain now. Like, we cut each other off because we finish each other's sentences. If anybody ever was allowed into my house, which I would never allow journalists into my house, and they sat down and they interviewed us, it would look exactly like this. Both of us speaking, both of us cutting each other off, because we don't view it as cutting each other off. We view it as completing one another. Parenting is exhausting, but it is a kind of exhaustion that you can't describe because it fills you with such gratitude and with such purpose. So I first want to let you listen to this journalist because she did some interviews thereafter, and you'll get exactly what kind of a person this is. Take a listen to her.
As women, this way of life has been missold to us previously, like, you know, the perfect, harmonious, happy domestic life of, aren't you so lucky to be able to stay home with your children and look after the house? There's this deep fear from lots of women that, oh my God, it's happening again. It's happening again, just in different clothing, and that clothing is social media and Instagram.
Do you think she's happy?
I do. I think there's been a lot of speculation online since. I think she's very tired. I think as is he. And what really struck me is just quite how little time that either of them have for themselves. But I suppose that is parenthood.
She supposes that must be parenthood. Oh, the concept of not living for me, and sharing your life with someone and coming into completion and then having children. It scares her. You know, she's speaking. Some women just see fear. They feel anxiety when they look online and they see a happy family, and they wonder to themselves, this must be some nasty algorithm that's trying to enslave me by telling me to get married and become happy with children. My gosh, what a terrible algorithm this is. Hannah Nealman obviously was very upset, but she took to Instagram with a couple of notes just to clarify her own position. Take a listen.
A couple of weeks ago, we had a reporter come into our home to learn more about our family and business. We thought the interview went really well, very similar to the dozens of interviews we had done in recent memory. We were taken back, however, when we saw the printed article, which shocked us and shocked the world by being an attack on our family and my marriage, portraying me as oppressed, with my husband being the culprit. This couldn't be further from the truth. Nothing we said in the interview implied this conclusion, which leads me to believe the angle taken was predetermined. For Daniel and I, our priority in life is God and family. Everything else comes second. The greatest day of my life was when Daniel and I were married 13 years ago. Together, we have built a business from scratch. We've brought 8 children into this world and have prioritized our marriage all along the way. We are co-parents, co-CEOs, co-diaper changers, kitchen cleaners, and decision makers. We are one. And I love him more today than I did 13 years ago. We have many dreams still to accomplish. We aren't done having babies. We are excited for our new farm store to open, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for the rest of it. But for now, I'm doing what I love most, being a mother, wife, a businesswoman, a farmer, a lover of...
All I can say is round of applause. Shout out to all the moms out there who are exhausted, like I'm exhausted, who have had kids back to back, like I've had kids back to back, and who finally get to see their lives being played out on Instagram rather than women taking their clothes off, talking about feminism, talking about the thought life, pretending that they're happy as they sell their bodies for likes and clicks. They get to see a mom who is tired, but who is fulfilled. That you are all doing the Lord's work. And that is why when I was asked that question from Piers Morgan that day about who I look up to in Hollywood, I said my answer, and I meant it, stay-at-home moms, okay? Because you guys are doing the most important work, making sure that children are being raised in the right way. Because
And that's that one. We conclude. I know there's other context. So if you want to add in addition to that and anything in response to this, we can go.
Yeah, I first of all, I cannot stand Candace Owens. But she the story with Ballerina Farm, some other aspects that I wanted to add in the documentary that clip was taken from, they kind of go through her whole life. And to me, and I also used to watch her videos. I used to regularly watch her content because I was aspiring for the like live on a farm, live fresh and green and raise kids lifestyle. And so I used to watch her content. And I did agree with a lot of the concern came from comments and not as much in the video, but it was definitely posed in both the video and the comments. But the key things that were alarm bells to me and other people was, one, they met, she was in Juilliard because she wanted to be on Broadway or whatever. I forgot what it's called, like the highest dance whatever level. Like she was at that level, and she basically was prepping to do that. And her husband saw her somewhere, and he basically saw her and was like, I had to have her. And within 3 months of meeting her, they were married, and he had moved her to that farm. And a lot of people saw that as a huge red flag, especially as people who were under controlling spouses, because that is a huge flag in terms of an abusive situation, for somebody to very quickly sweep you off your feet and whisk you away to a different location away from family, and where you were supposed to be going, is, especially when you're that young, is quite alarming. Plus I'm fairly certain he's older. Like I think he is in his 40s or possibly, I know he's older than her. And then he also, there are ways that he does not show he cares about her. One of the biggest examples that you'll find is that for their, I think it was their 10-year anniversary or something like that, or maybe her birthday, she asked to go to Greece. And this man is the son of I believe he's the heir to an airline mogul. She asked for a trip to Greece, and he bought her an egg apron. He surprised her with an egg apron. And the comments exploded with how ironically sexist that is. Like, your wife asked for this specific vacation thing, so you get her a cheap household object that links her to the labor she provides to you. And so people were going nuts over that one. And I also find, I mean, being a wife, I do kind of, men are very simplistic, and it's very rare to have a creative gifting type man. Usually men are very practical and like, I got you snacks that you like. I saw this shirt you might like. I saw this knife that was in the color that you like. Like, that's the type of shit that men will get you. And so I can kind of understand why he'd get her an egg apron. Like, oh yeah, we have chicken. So here, look, chicken related. But I also, as a woman, feel the feeling of insult that I would have felt if I asked for a trip and got an egg apron. Like, if I knew we had the money for a trip and somebody gave me a piece of clothing in exchange, I would be pretty annoyed, especially if they asked me what I wanted. If they're like, yeah, so what are you looking for? And I was like, I want a trip. And they're like, here's a t-shirt. I'd be like, you couldn't have even like taken me on a drive? Like, okay. But yeah, that was another thing. And then also another aspect people pointed out is her house was devoid of anything relating to things that she seemed to care about. Like, they had that very grayscale aesthetic where like everything was at right angles and was white marble countertop and like gray walls and gray furniture and like angular lights and like, you know, that kind of look. But she had a single painting of a ballerina in the back of the kitchen pantry. And so everyone was like, that's so sad. That's like the last representation of the thing that she cares about. And not to mention the fact that he suggested turning her ballet barn into the kids' schoolhouse. But yeah, to me, I can't say whether or not they're happy. I don't know if everyone can be happy in their ways. Everyone can be unhappy in their ways, and it could have nothing to do with her partner. So we really will never know. She says she's happy, so we'll just have to take her word for it. Personally, I'm not entirely convinced because, in my opinion, people that feel the need to show their lives on social media, if it's not for an educational purpose, is very likely getting some amount of dopamine from showing their lives and getting the comments and getting compliments and stuff like that. So I think she does get some element of uplift from participating in this that she's probably not getting from other sources. But I don't think she's in a truly terrible situation, but I will say I disagree with what Candace says, is that not everyone is lucky enough. That like it's the fallacy that like, oh, anyone can make it work. Like, you can love anyone, you just have to try. And that's not the case. It's like there are so many aspects that affect whether or not people can be in relationships. And if somebody is not a healthy domestic partner, no matter how much you care about that person, it's not going to stop them from doing terrible things to you. So there are times when you do have to leave the relationship, and it's not possible to just like, I don't know. I forgot exactly what her wording was, but there was something she said that made me think of people that would be in situations that they couldn't control that would contradict what she was saying, but I don't exactly remember the quote now. So but yeah, I'll leave it at that.
I don't want to take or make anything personal, so don't nobody take what I'm about to say personally. The grass ain't always greener on the other side.
How dare you?
And just because you get lucky enough to run into one of these multimillionaires, that don't mean nothing. You can say my life is going to change for the better once I lock that man down. You can say you're going to be the best this and the best that. All you need is security. Money does not necessarily provide you security by itself.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it can actually take away from you security, because now you're worried about Like, are people going to be breaking in to steal my shit? Or like, if you have nothing, you're not going to be worried that people are going to like steal. But if you have like diamonds and just collections of expensive shoes and purses and whatever, you're always going to be on edge. Like, is somebody going to try and do something?
It's not even just that. It's the fact that you're relying on someone to provide your lifestyle, and you're using that to comfort you in ways that only a spiritual experience can do. Like, I can buy you your house, but we're living together, and based on the type of personality I have and the type of soul I have as a man or a woman, you're insufferable. So I might have everything that I want in here, but I can't enjoy it because I don't really want to be around you. Or I have to find ways to make myself happy here with you here. It's like, oh, Adventureland is right there, but this person got to tag along too. It's like, that's what.
I remember what I was going to say regarding Candace Owen. She was talking at one point about how one of the ways you can tell that a relationship is successful is if they end up like her and her husband, where they can complete each other's sentences and they're basically like complete reflections of each other. And I think that's also a really that can be a red flag in most cases because if you start to mirror your person, unless you both are consciously coming together on the same passions together because you both share those passions together, somebody is dropping the things that they care about to accommodate the partner that is more dominant. It's a really common phenomenon in marriage where or partnerships where one partner, the weaker partner, gives up themselves to accommodate the other person and make the other person happy. And that's a form of mild abuse, and it's more so in the situation where the person coming into the situation is used to being under someone domineering. They might have had like a very aggressive parent or a very loud, angry parent. They're going to be the ones that like kiss up to people pleasers, and that it's oftentimes someone who's mirroring another person. It means that they've given up the parts of themselves that make them them, so they can appease the other ones around them. And so that's why that one stood out to me as kind of alarming, that she'd give that advice, where that's not a sign of a good relationship. You should not aspire to be just like your partner by the end of your lives. You should have some differences still, because you should be able to maintain your personhood.
What I gathered, right, and I'm gonna say, you never lose yourself in a marriage or in a relationship. You're not supposed to. It's a union. The problem is, to me, you have too many variations of a version of a system that works for one person but doesn't mean it's going to work for the other person. There are components to Candace Owens' marriage that would work. Everything that you do is not supposed to be identical to the next person at all, because everybody is not reading 1 million books a day, and everybody is not the greatest cooks. And quite frankly, if you're going into any situation with a who's the domineering, submit, nature just takes its course naturally. There's an ebb and flow. Either you have the ebb and flow or you don't have the ebb and flow, whatever that looks like to you and the other person. What you just described is somebody who is not equally yoked with the other person, and you shouldn't even be there at all. In order for you to recognize that, you have to really know yourself.
And if you know that you have shortcomings, that has to be for you to not allow yourself to be abused. I don't mean that like, I mean that to kind of cover the whole spectrum, because abuse starts very, very small. It's on a spectrum where it'll start in really small ways. And if the person that it's happening to doesn't resist, that's why abuse will escalate. Abuse happens in some cases, it can also happen if they are being extremely resistant, but it depends on the personality of the person that's doing it. Anyway, it always starts small, and if that person is chronically not doing anything to change the situation, that person is going to get more and more empowered. But if you have somebody that pushes back constantly as they do those like microaggressions, it's going to be far less likely that that type of abuse will continue, because the person will realize. And so, yeah, a domineering partner can definitely squash the personality of another partner, just because they'll shut them down constantly. They'll be like, oh, I don't want to hear it. I don't care about your excitement. Don't do that near me. Like, there's so many little ways that someone can cut away pieces of you and make you disappear. And more humorously, I think it's probably her that's the domineering one.
It just really, it sounds like what I hear all the time in these red pill communities, where I make the money, so you're gonna deal with me sleeping with multiple women. I make the decisions around here. You don't have no say so in anything. This is what you signed up for. I don't want to hear no back talk. That's what I'm gathering. More hypergamy at work. If I'm getting this story right, and I haven't seen the entirety of this, what I'm consuming here is there was some form of abuse. That's what I've heard from some of the videos, that there was abuse and she's not really happy and all of this. I don't know that. We don't know that. If it's there, then I mean, look, this is not going to sound pretty, but you chose that. I'm not saying you chose the abuse. I'm saying you chose that lifestyle because you think just, to go back to what I was trying to say earlier, you think just because you get somebody with money that you're going to get the money, the Clark Kent, the Superman, you're going to get 100% of perfection out of a person. It don't work like that. What was that? We never truly got around to talking about it. This thing where you hit a certain amount of money and you completely change.
I think it's either 500,000 or 750,000. Like, once you make above a certain amount of money, your personality will shift, because basically you go from a scarcity mindset where you believe that you have to fight for everything that you have to a abundance mindset or something. There's another term for it where you now feel limitless. Like I can do anything. Nobody can tell me that, like the entitlement mindset, basically, that I have so much power and resource that nobody can tell me what to do. I can get whatever I want whenever I want it.
Yeah. Most millionaires and billionaires are assholes anyway. They're assholes. They're assertive. They are in a position that they're in because of the characteristics that they possess. In order for you to succeed in the manner in which they did, they had to be aggressive. They had to know what they needed to do. They had to say no. They had to push buttons. They had to do this and do that. They had to do that. You can't be soft working amongst men at all. And on the outside looking in, you see someone who found the formula. They found the secret to success. I don't really, and I've heard this before. I'm honestly convinced that a lot of women do not understand how difficult it is to make the type of money that these people make. Like the struggle, the headaches, the stress, the stuff that we don't talk about.
I think that's kind of the thing that a lot of people don't realize, is that no matter what wealth level you're at, whether you're like dead broke, no house, nothing, or you're extremely wealthy, like, and can afford almost anything, you're all still going to have your stressors. You're all still going to have your, oh, I don't want to have to pay that. I'm stressed. I don't want to have to get that done. Like, there's always stuff that we have to go through as humans that we don't like. And I think a lot of the illusion is that people think that either if you have nothing, you don't have any cares in the world, or if you have everything, you have no cares in the world. But I think, honestly, no matter where you are on the spectrum, except maybe balanced in the middle, you're going to have a lot of issues no matter where you are.
I agree. That is a fact. It's not just billionaires. It's thousandaires, and you can have $20 in your pocket and still be stressed out. But nothing is never ever really good for people. It's like you stress when you don't feel safe. When you constantly feel like your life is on the line, your security is on the line, where you're going to lay your head at is on the line. What are you going to eat? Oh, I'm scared. I don't have any water. I'm on my last this. I'm on my last that. When you're constantly living like that, there is no way for you to really be happy. So, I mean, my final thoughts before we go to this Alicia Keys thing, because I just got to get that out of the way. Everything is not what you think it is. Whatever this situation is between her and her husband, I pray God has his hands on everyone involved. I don't want to see nobody lose their life or get hurt in consequence or because of I seen somebody who had money and I thought I could accept this lifestyle, but I'm realizing throughout this marriage that this is not really what I wanted. It just looked good. Help me, I regret this. Let me get out of this. Or she's really just in good health and people are doing way too much. One way or another, I wish them the best.
Could also be jealousy too, because people will always accuse those that they wish they could be as well.
Isn't that weird? I was watching. Matter of fact, I'm gonna come back to that, man. Hey, look, I saw, well, I saw a video on Instagram and I saw one on TikTok that was saying Swiss Beats got his side chick knocked up. Alicia Keys getting a divorce. And then I decided to go to Google. I typed it in, and Google says there's no information to support or substantiate claims that this is true. But you have thousands of people commentating on videos that's uploaded on multiple platforms saying that they are getting a divorce because of infidelity. So he ended up with her after he had left his prior wife. People put him on blast and had mad energy for him and her for that. But it seemed like they were doing good for a very long time until now. Until now, I hate social media sometimes because it don't even be accurate information. Y'all just be putting stuff up.
You're saying like 50 to 70% of content now is created by bots.
I lie to you not. I was scrolling TikTok yesterday. I came across a video. I swear, it almost got me until I read the comments. There was a black woman saying, "Today's my birthday. Say hi if you see this video." She was standing in front of the camera. Her house was right behind her. I never noticed anything about the house or nothing. All I could think of is, why do people keep getting on the internet wanting people to say happy birthday to them? So I decided to scroll the comment section because I'm weird like that. One commenter said, "This is AI generated. Look at the house behind her. The roof is shifting as she's talking. The roof is shifting. The house is still in place. So this is right here stationary, but the house is going like this." And I'm like, "Oh, you mother, you."
It's getting so bad that like even people that regularly use the internet can't tell the difference. They have older women that will come up to their kids with like very clearly manufactured images of like fake animals, and they're like, "Look at this new animal they discovered," and the kids are like, "Grandma, that's not real."
Yeah,
it's prevalent now. I just saw something about it yesterday that people are dropping off the internet faster because of the bots. It picked up around 2016.
Let me give my real honest opinion. If the story is true, which I doubt it is, but if it is true and he stepped out on her, I'm not surprised. You reap what you sow.
Didn't she cheat with him or vice versa?
Yeah. That's like what I said. You reap what you sow.
Yeah.
I don't know why anybody in this world would think they're gonna live a happily ever after when they just did somebody so dirty like that.
Do you believe the allegations that he is abusive? Or I've heard both ways, that he's abusive and that she's abusive.
Nothing. I don't put nothing past nobody at this point.
True.
It's that serious.
Celebrities are special kinds of people. They just all seem to be awful. awful behind the scenes.
For real, you said something earlier, and it's serious. Like over the last 15, 16, 17 years or more, we have seen things unravel before our eyes that you wouldn't have expected. You're starting to see these people become more humbled. They're becoming more vulnerable, and you're seeing that they're actually human. Bullets do penetrate them too. I ain't putting nothing past it. He could be abusive. She could be abusive. I said it. I don't care about that smile that y'all put on y'all face. That don't mean nothing. That first 5 minutes that we watched, they were they were nicely dressed. She had on all white. They just love all white. But the whole time, my man was suicidal. He took his own life. He had debt that he couldn't even get out of. Who knows what else she is? Matter of fact, can she be a counselor, a life coach? Is that possible? After the lifestyle that she had and the things that she went through, is it possible for her to flip the script? And
I mean, the bar is pretty low for life coaches. I've heard some horror stories, I guess, of different life coaches that have existed. So it's more so a title in the same way that like influencer is.
yeah,
You could literally be like, you don't really need to do anything to be a life coach. Like you could straight up just open a practice yourself and like, hey, how are you doing? Like, how can I help you? Like there's really nothing that they teach you besides like general ethics.
so let me just go ahead and go to Publix real quick. Had them print me out something that says life coach on it, and then I put it in front of my desk and or put it right behind me, so when y'all see it, it say life coach, and then you'll just automatically assume I'm a life coach, and then I can just say whatever the hell I want.
Walmart would probably do more vetting.
Oh man, what's your verdict? Hypothetically speaking, this actually happened. He stepped out on her, and if this isn't real at all, what would be your message to people who are watching, who are automatically running with the idea that they actually are getting divorced versus it actually happened?
Well, in general, I would just urge people not to idolize individuals like this, especially if they are being crazy, ridiculous. If they are actually getting a divorce, I would hope and pray that it is an amicable divorce and that they don't end up being crazy and angry and aggressive and violent when this all splits up, because we all know how celebrities can be when you have to split your assets and possibly children. So I hope that it's not a thing. I hope that it's just an AI generated story. But yeah, and then also just in general to people that are in difficult relationships or that are in relationships with people that you feel might not be on your side. One, it's not your fault. Don't ever think that it's your fault. And also don't think that you have to stay there. If you're ever in an uncomfortable situation, if you live with anyone that does not have your best interest, do not be afraid to leave. There are a lot of resources, a lot of people that would be willing to help you. If you're in a dangerous situation, there are hand signals that you can learn. to indicate to people that you're in a dangerous situation if you're in public. So there's a lot of different resources that you can go to get help, whether it's just a repressive situation or an actual like physically abusive situation. But keep in mind that everything that you see on the internet is not necessarily what is actually happening. As we saw with all of these stories, there's stuff on the internet about it portrayed one way, but we don't know exactly what the truth is, and we won't really know for sure because we don't actually know what's going on in their heads. So yeah, don't trust everything that you see. I also, if you, I could either do it now or after you say something, but I wanted to throw in a small poem from my husband's cousin. He gave it to me and he wanted me to read it. And it's on domestic violence, so I thought it would be appropriate.
I'm gonna let you close out. I just want to say this. People are buying these apps. You go into your IG stories or your whatever. Everything is promoting them. There are apps that teach you how to create realistic situations for things that ain't even there. Keep that in mind when you're subscribing to people, you're following people, you're taking their news reports. Folks are lazy. This right here, it ain't many people doing this anymore, where it's like interactive and you get to actually talk to the actual person. You're getting the avatar of them doing all of their conversing. So just keep that in mind when you're scrolling or you want to have guy or girl talk about something that's happening in the barbershop or something like that. Alicia Keys, I don't feel bad for you if this is real. If this ain't real, it ain't my place to judge. It ain't my place to decide whether or not you should get punished for anything, or I ain't got nothing to do with that. I personally would never get involved with somebody, for one, who was never legally separated or divorced, and I would never come in between someone else's relationship when there's millions of other people out here in the world for me to choose outside of that person. So, food for thought. I'll stop there. Um, as far as the rest of them stories that we covered, it won't be me. I'm not idolizing you. I'm not worshiping you. And I'll say it again, Dr. Umar, stop coming up on here panhandling and dry bagging, sir. Nobody's about to send you no money. You're tripping, buddy. Go ahead and drop that. Yeah. Now, with that being said, I'm gonna let you close the show out. Shout outs to the people. I will turn it over to you. If you're ready, that is.
Yes, I'm good. All right. So this poem is called Monarch Mariposa, and this is by Joe Stanford. Tell me why again, you lied to him. You hit her, frightened of a life lived, tired from fighting, mired in silence, trying to hide the signs of our violence from friends who arrived with conviction in their wise eyes. They realized that this time she courageously survived being victimized, ripples in the water from the wings of a butterfly.
Sensational.
Sensational.
Good piece. Thank you for reading it. Shout out to the writer, the composer, the architect as well.
I'll let him know.
Well, we're about to get up out of here, man. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. We got another lineup. Actually, man, I'm gonna be so busy. I'm gonna have to make sure I got some tea next to me. I got an interview in the morning, and then I got another one at 1, and I'm doing a morning show at 11. So I'm gonna be all over the place, man. Ain't nobody on the internet working as hard as me on these streams, man. So
Do we have poets for tomorrow, or?
there is no open mic tomorrow. No, that's why I was going to integrate this one into it, but we ended up doing 3 stories instead of just 2. So it's
I
like,
still got a poem in, so it's all good.
yeah. I
That was
could.
the main thing I wanted to do. So.
Well, to be fair, hold up. Can I could do this. Let me see something. Which one do I want? I'm a read one. I'm gonna read one. You would have loved to have a conversation with her. She's a very smart, intelligent woman, man. She used to come up on the panel. Jason could attest to this. And the way that she writes, I hope I don't slaughter this, but I'm gonna try my best to give it justice. When I was a child in Africa, there was a woman that would walk up and down the marketplace in a white nightie dress. Her long black hair would be matted and covered in twigs, her feet dirty and blackened from all the earth, her eyes wild as she'd whisper incoherently to herself. She was beautiful, or at least she once was. Her body was full in all of the places men's eyes lingered, and her skin welcomed in the sun. Her beauty, both wild and dirty, was intoxicating, and I remember a strange odor wafting from her. I know now she smelled of lust. The women in the streets would yell for her to leave, throwing buckets of water in her face. Witch! They'd scream, foam falling from their mouths, sticks in their hands, violence in their eyes. Whore! That's why you were cursed, whore. My mother would steer her head away and tell me not to lock eyes with her. She is cursed. She lives by the river alone because her family claimed that she was possessed. Someone cursed her. I remember watching her continue to walk, her hands covering her face as she pulled on her hair and beat her. She didn't run. All the hands and hate crashing upon her body, yet she still didn't run. Something deep inside of me panicked. Some voice in me rose and said, "Run." My mother looked down at me and over to the woman. She watched me look. Although I was warned, I looked. Something about her ending and destruction called for me to witness, and my small body was frozen like stone. My mother got up from where she was chatting with the vendors and chased the people attacking the woman away. I watched as my mother yelled and cursed at them, saying something of their husband's inability to keep their hands where they ate. The woman stopped and turned to my mother, watching her steadily, and my mother locked eyes with her. I gasped, remembering her warning, and ran over to her, crying, "Why did you look, Mama? Why did you look?" I clung to her skirt forcefully, my little hands grabbing as much as her as I could. She laughed and bent down until her eyes were level with mine. What lives inside her lives in us all. You cannot be scared of it, or it will consume you. I couldn't understand what she meant at that time, but I was relieved she was safe. I turned my head and watched as the woman continued walking. She paused suddenly and slowly turned back, her eyes on me. She softened for a second, taking in my childish face, my dark baby braids, and my beautiful silk dress. I was small for my age. Always heard the coos and cries of women calling me a baby. I was soft and small, a doll on display. Part of me hated being treated like a child, but I was one. I thought she was going to coo, to call out to my mother and comment on my delicate face and even smaller body, but suddenly her eyes darkened. Something began troubling her vision, and I watched as her bruised face twisted in anguish and sorrow. She inhaled and suddenly screamed, "Run!"
That was
That
good.
was, yeah. Shout out to Mata. Appreciate y'all for being here. Shout out Sid. Again, we about to get up out of here. See y'all guys tomorrow. Yeah.
Thank you for joining us on our quick pace. What is it called? The trigger pace. our triple topic.
I'll stick to that. Y'all be easy. I'll see you guys later on, man.
Yes, goodbye.
Like, share, subscribe to the channel.
Bye bye.
You still will.